Thank you. So do you remember who I am? Yes. Yeah. 2 weeks. Wow. And I've been watching. You think you get away with things, don't you? I've been watching. And I noticed that your speakers did an amazing job. Yes. But I'm glad to be back. You know what this is? Okay, no, it's not a silver bullet. It's the wrong color. The color is gold. So what do you think this is? The color is gold, not pixie dust. This is actually gold dust. This is actually gold dust. Catherine Ponder, who is one of the New Thought movement's great prosperity gurus, you have studied her. She was working with a businessman, and every time she asked him, how's business? How are you doing? He says, well, it's got to be great because there's gold dust in the air. Gold dust in the air. What would it be like if everything you did, there was gold dust in the air that you could just draw upon? Now, this happened to be a businessman, but what about relationships, your creative expression? Ever sit there and think, I've got to come up with a wonderful idea? What if your image was, there's gold dust in the air for ideas? Or how about your health? If you're working with some kind of a health challenge, and I know some of you are, what if you just thought of your vibrant health as gold dust in the air, that you could just draw that vibrant health? Because you are perfect in all ways. And in our human form, we are always striving to return to that perfection. I love that they're studying Genesis. What's the beginning of Genesis? In the beginning. And all of the creation, right? It's like creating with, pulling from the gold dust in the air, pulling from that abundance consciousness that everything is possible. And then, was it the 5th day? I'm glad she didn't ask me how many books in the Bible because I've forgotten. 56, she said, right? But when God created humankind, how were we created? We were created in the image and likeness of God. Male and female, we were created in the image and likeness of God. Is that perfection? Is that gold dust? I think so. So what if everything in your life turned to gold? And I don't mean Midas. I said, don't go there. But the gold dust, the creative essence, the perfection, the abundance of God. What if everything in your life was gold? Would that be all right? Do you have to think about it? I don't know. All right. So this morning, stay. We're going to talk about, the infinite abundance of life. Because that's what life is. It's full of infinite abundance. And when we're not experiencing that, it just means we're somehow missing the mark. Got it? So I'm inviting you this morning to join with me in this infinite abundance journey. This is what we're going to be doing all summer. We're truly focusing on your infinite abundance. So are you with me or are you against me? Yeah? With me or against me? Yay, okay. And when I say me, I'm not talking about the minister in front of you, whom you have not seen for 2 weeks, but I'm talking about that I am within you. I'm inviting you to get in touch with that I am. That is your abundance. That is God demonstrating through you. Remember when Moses said to God at the burning bush, what's your name? These people, they're not going to listen to me if I can't tell you what your name is. By the way, I'm going to rewrite the Bible. My paraphrasing. And what did God say? My name is, I am that I am. I am. That's your gold dust. That Christ essence within you, that abundance in you, it's always there. Always, always, always. Now, in his book, Acres of Diamonds, Russell Conwell, says, I say you ought to be rich. You have no right to be poor. To live and not be rich is a misfortune, and it is doubly a misfortune because you could have been rich just as well as being poor. What is he talking about here? Is he talking about money necessarily? Or is he talking about a certain consciousness? In Unity, we say it's a sin to be poor. Actually, Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, wrote that. It's a sin to be poor. That sounds a little harsh, doesn't it? And yet, in Unity also, how do we define sin? Missing the mark. That's all. Or error thought. So it's a sin, it's error thought to be poor. It's missing the mark to be poor. And if you look at what Conwell said and translate it into consciousness, he might as well have been saying is, you ought to be rich in consciousness, rich in right thoughts and right action. You have no right to stay in lack consciousness. To live and not be rich in right thinking is a misfortune, and it is doubly a misfortune because you could just as well live in prosperous thinking as wallowing in limited thoughts. In fact, how you think is a basic law of prosperity. It's all here. It's got nothing to do with outer conditions. It's all in the possibilities that we see within us and without, not the conditions. And when you think like meditation, when you get caught up in the fear and doubt, when you become angry and unforgiving and resentful, where's your focus? It's on lack. It's on the anger and resentment. It's on what someone did wrong to you. He done me wrong. Therefore, what would show up in your life? Lack. More of whatever it is you're focusing on, correct? It's so simple. And yet we forget sometimes. Or am I the only one? Am I the only one who has to be reminded every once in a while? Thank you. Yes. A few people who, truthful. The rest of you are lying to yourself, but okay. But if you think, no, I won't pick on you. I'm just coming back. I'll wait 5 minutes. So if you think abundance, joy, love, perfect health, bright relationships, then that is what you will attract. That's what you'll create. It makes sense, doesn't it? And just so basic. And how many people in your lives do you know that don't know this? And every now and then you want to go up and shake them. Say, don't you get it? And if you were to do that, they'd probably smack you because of where they are. And it wouldn't do any good, would it? Because they have to figure it out themselves. Okay. So Catherine Ponder also, she calls this creating and attracting radiation and attraction. And she says, that what you radiate outward in your thoughts, feelings, mental pictures, and words, you attract into your life and affairs. Just like, remember the story of the sun and the wind. They were going to have a contest. And they said, hey, I'm more powerful. Each saying to the other. And they, well, how do we know that for sure? And they argued about, their benefits. And they decided that they would have a contest with a man that they saw walking with a coat on. And the contest was who could get the man to take off his coat. The sun. So the wind went first, and he said, with my power, I am just going to blow that coat off the man, and I'll show that I am the most powerful. And the wind blew, and it blew, and the more fiercely that the wind blew, what happened? The man held the coat to him, protecting himself. And then the sun is just, watching, like, oh, interesting. My turn yet? And finally, yes. It was the sun's turn. And what did the sun do? All the sun did was radiate its light and its warmth. And the man, of course, took off his jacket. So which is going to radiate and draw to you, attract the abundance that you might want? Yes, if you want good, you need to give good. Right? If you want love, you need to give what? If you want money, you need to give? Right. Whatever it is you want to experience, you need to figure out a way to give some of it, even if you think you have nothing. In short, you don't get something for nothing. Such an old expression, but you don't get something for nothing. You must sow before you reap. You've heard all the stories in the Bible about sowing and then reaping. And if you sow on barren ground or on the rocks, you don't get anything, right? But if you sow where it's fertile, then you reap an abundant reward. So it's like God's an abundant storehouse. I like that. Just feel that. God is an abundant storehouse. Yes, it's better than Costco and Sam's put together. And in this country, ladies and gentlemen, in this country, we are surrounded by abundance. Actually, there is abundance everywhere. It's not a supply challenge. It's a distribution challenge, if nothing else. And it's a consciousness challenge. But especially here. Remember Russia before, during communism, when they had to stand in line for bread? Except for the Great Depression, we didn't have to do that in this country. We haven't had to do that. Years ago, when I lived in Tucson, the Agency for International Development, AID, brought about 25 campesinos. They're peasants, farmers, laborers, just poor village people to the United States from Costa Rica. And they brought them to Tucson. The purpose was to train them in becoming small business loaners. How they'll have those small banks in some of the countries, and it's run by people. And they loan money to each other, perhaps for the mother that has to provide for her children. And they'll loan her the money to buy chickens so that she can sell eggs. All right? Or buy a goat or a cow so that she can sell milk. Or a sewing machine. All right? So very small. They're microloans. And they brought them to Tucson, Arizona. 25 people, mostly men. And they hosted them in our homes, and I volunteered. And it was interesting. At first I was wondering, why did they bring these people to the United States? Why not send the AID people to Costa Rica and train them there? It would have been much cheaper. Yes? And I was feeling badly that all I had to offer was, I had one twin bed in my guest bedroom. So I took the mattress off, put it on the floor, put a pad on the box spring. It had its own bathroom. And I felt badly that this is all I could offer. And they stayed with us, and we had Thanksgiving in July so that they could experience Thanksgiving. And we introduced them to a lot of the way we do things in the U.S., which could be good or bad, depending on your outlook. However, they got to see something that they would not otherwise have seen. What might that have been? If we had sent people to Costa Rica to train them, say, here's money, now think of possibilities as you give these microloans. Would they have had the same prosperity consciousness without coming here and seeing how it is part of our way of living? It's how we breathe. And yes, there is great poverty in this country. And even with that, it doesn't light a candle to the way people in other parts of this world live. I had a friend who also hosted someone in her home. And it was interesting. I was feeling so badly that all I could offer was the twin bed that I split up for the two gentlemen. And I'll tell you, it was interesting. I learned that I had to get up earlier because if I didn't, there was no hot water for my shower upstairs where my bedroom was, because they took long showers. And so I just got up earlier. Well, Carol was her name. She decided she wanted to go down and work with the campesinos, that this was a passion for her. And she went down, she spent, I think it was 6 weeks. And she stayed with one of the gentlemen that had been my guest. When she came back, one of the first things she said is, nobody should have to be that poor. And then she told me her sleeping arrangements, what they did at night in their common room, because there are two rooms. There was a bedroom for the parents, and then there was the common room where they brought out sawhorses and put boards on them, and that was the bed for the family and any guest. That was their bedding. Her shower, and she didn't take very many of them, because it was outside, it was a stall, and there was water up above. It was not heated at all, and those were cold showers first thing in the morning, and they were very quick ones. And I felt badly. But you know what? They got to see something that they would not otherwise have imagined. What it's like to have abundance as part of your everyday life. That's why AID brought them to the United States. And that gave them, that more creative thinking than they would have had otherwise. So it's a whole new way of thinking, a whole new sense of what is possible. And imagine how different their vibration was when they got home, and the ideas that they could share with people. Something simple for us. When they landed in Miami, they stayed there one night before they came to Tucson, and they were staying in a motel. You know what the highlight of that motel was? The ice-making machine. Something we take for granted. And the story I heard was they were just crowded around it. They couldn't get enough of it. So, expand the consciousness, raise the vibration, and so that you're attracting more abundance in your life. Unity has a fifth principle. You must take action. It's all well and good to understand the principles, but you must put feet on them. Those microloans were putting feet on it for the people in Costa Rica. There was a woman who was having difficulty feeding her children. And even there was a whole day that she had food to give them. And in desperation, she called the Prosperity Hotline. The woman on the other end of the phone, after praying with her, said, there's something that you need to do if you want to see prosperity in your life. She says, well, what is it? What is it? I'll do anything. She says, you need to give something. But I have nothing to give. That's why I'm calling you. Meditate on it, and it'll come to you. You have something to give. And when you understand what you have to give, set the table as if you had a full meal coming for the children. Write the grocery list as if you had the money. At the end of the call, and this woman's like, I've got nothing. How could she tell me this? But she said, okay, nothing else. I can't think of anything else to do. And she thought about, what do I have to give? Can't feed my kids. What do I have to give? And then she remembered, well, I've got flowers growing out in my garden. And she went out and she cut the flowers and she brought them to a sick neighbor. And she gave them to the neighbor. And she went home and she set the table and she wrote out her grocery list. And a little while later, there was a knock on the door. And it was someone who had owed her money. And said, here, I don't have it all that I owe you, but here's $30. And I hope this helps. $30. And when she set the table and wrote the grocery list, the children got all excited also. There's a shift in the energy of the house. Instead of, oh my goodness, look at us, poor us, we have nothing. There was anticipation. How do you say that word? Anticipation, thank you. So everything shifted. Didn't know where it was coming from, but the energy shifted, so they became a radiating and attracting factor. So you don't have to know the how. You don't have to know the how at all. You just have to know the what. And you have to, and to get that energy, that vibrancy to support it, to become that attracting factor. So they shifted the entire scenario. As you give, so shall you receive. Or as Catherine Ponder says, you can have the best of everything when you give full measure for the good you wish to receive. You can have the best of everything when you give full measure for the good you wish to receive. Give in right thinking and right action. Receive in kind. Receive with grace and gratitude and joy. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore said, "True riches and real prosperity are in the understanding that there is an omnipresent substance from which all things come, and that by the action of our minds we can unify ourselves with the substance so that the manifestations that come from it will be in line with our desires and needs." So there is an omnipresent, that is everywhere present, substance. It's everywhere. And it's there for us to draw from. You got it? Get that in your thinking. It is everywhere. It is there for us to draw from. It is there for you. And it is unlimited. So in you drawing from this abundant source, you are not taking away from anyone else. Do you get that? There's enough abundance for everyone. It's not that you have to slice up this finite pie. It's the pie gets bigger and bigger. The pie is infinite. There's enough apple pie for everyone. With ice cream. Unless you don't eat ice cream. So true riches, real prosperity, they're in the understanding. You know, there's gold dust in the air. Wow. You know, gold dust in your relationships. Ever notice how a relationship shifts when you shift with your perspective on it, with how you see it? Ever notice how it shifts when you start looking within? You know, so if there's a hiccup or if you're feeling uncomfortable and where's the tendency? Well, if they'd only change, right? Same with your jobs. Well, if the boss would only be different or if they only had different policies. In your health, oh, if I only had the right doctor. If I weren't just so old. But imagine that you have access to unlimited abundance, that there's gold dust in everything, and that it's within you. Remember when I said, are you for me or against me? That's, are you for yourself or are you fighting it? You know, it takes just as much energy. You know how they say, you know, she said, Conwell said before, you know, to be rich or to be poor. You know, it takes just as much energy to focus on the negative and what's missing. Almost takes more energy. They say that it takes more muscles to frown than to smile. That seems odd because this is easy. This I have to work at, right? Fewer muscles. So, and prosperity, and to focus on prosperity is essential for spiritual growth. There's still that ugly little shadow that we have that it's unspiritual to focus on money. You notice that? Grew up with that? Uh-huh. Interesting. It seems to be the people with the money that preach that the most. I don't know. I made that up, but it sounds good, doesn't it? Yeah, and the thing is, though, if you're so caught up in what you're missing, how do you have room to grow spiritually? All your energy is on what you don't have, whether it's relationships, whether it's the perfect job, whether it's your health, whether it's getting that perfect idea. When you focus on that, that's what you're drawing. Basic law. Basic law. And you can't, like when you get pulled over by the police officer and said, well, officer, I didn't know that I was doing anything illegal. What's the response? Ignorance of the law is no excuse, right? You're still going to get a ticket. Depending on what it is, you're still going to go to jail. So how about focusing on the law? Your get out of jail free card, just like Monopoly. I mentioned at the beginning, we're really focusing on your abundance this summer. Prosperity. It's always threaded through, weaved through. I can do that word. Weaved through, woven through. I got to get out my grammar book. Okay, we always weave this through every message that you are abundant spiritual beings. Yes? You are love. You have an innate greatness within you. And I'm always encouraging you to draw that out and express it as fully as possible in this world. Really going to focus on it this summer. You're going to be very happy when I take vacation this summer. So, oh, thank goodness she's not going to be doing this. But I'll tell you, look at that. I've got gold dust for my hair. I like that. But I'm going to have guest speakers that are going to keep at you too. So the first thing we're going to do to launch all of this, and those of you who have been around before, you've participated. The Unexpected Income Program. Any abundance program about tithing, yes? And what is tithing? What does the T word do to many people?
That's good.
You like that? Thank you. No, I didn't practice. Yeah, they get very upset. What do you want my money? You're going to take away from me what little I have in some people's cases. Or I've got a lot and you want me to share? You know how hard I worked for this? The Unexpected Income Program is easing you in slowly. It's like testing the water. We used to go to the lake when I was growing up. Cuba Lake was very cold. It was about July that you could safely swim. And you go up and can go in yet? Put your toe in? Yeah, is it warm enough yet? That's what the Unexpected Income Program is. Just to put your toe in, test the waters. Or think of it, anybody from the north where it gets cold in the winter? Yes. I had wonderful quilts and it'd be so warm. And I'd be lying there as a kid growing up, and it's like, put my foot out, my bare foot out from under the covers. Should I get? No, I don't think I'll get up yet. Not warm enough yet. Okay, so this is warming it up for you. Unexpected Income Program, where you'll sign a commitment that you will tithe. What is tithe? It is how much? 10%, and tithe actually translates to 10. So I enjoy people who say, well, I'll tithe 3%. 3 is not 10. I know. Unexpected income. You know where your money usually comes from, yes? This is like that lady who, $30 showed up at her door. $3 is what she would have tithed. $3. I've had people, all of a sudden, like $1,000 unexpected income. Do the math. There's a testimonial in here not from this community, but from someone who participated. He received more than $30,000 in expected income after he participated in this program. Now, wouldn't it be fun to experience that kind of expected income? And would it really hurt to tithe 10%, because that's the commitment? So you sign this. This is a commitment. This program officially runs June, July, August. I mean, you can continue it. Nothing says don't, but this is the formal. When you commit, you're also committing to daily saying your prosperity prayer. And when we are finished with our offering later, we'll all say this prayer together, because you're all going to receive one of these brochures. And what, I think 2 years ago, the last time we did this program, also for every day of June, July, and August, we will send you a prosperity affirmation in your email. Okay? So that's this program. And we invite you to, just stick your toe in, see how it is. We're also offering a mini course on prosperity, the ABCs of prosperity. We're going to do it June 8th. It's a Wednesday evening for an hour. That's all, an hour. And then after worship on June 19th for an hour. That'll almost be a lunch and learn, because it's a potluck Sunday. All right, and we'll just go over some of the basics. And then, of course, we're launching the Prosperity Plus 2 program. And that's a 10-week commitment. And I'll talk about that a little later. So this summer, really, and that's what we're going to be talking about every Sunday morning. Yeah, because you are amazing. Do you know how amazing you are? This is an opportunity to embrace it. Not to live at the whim of outside circumstances. And there's going to be a lot of them. Oh my goodness, there's an election coming up. President of the United States of America. How much energy already has been generated about the disaster that will come, depending on which candidate you don't like, if that person is elected. And it's coming down to, if any of them are elected, the disaster. The truth is, it doesn't matter. Now go vote, please. Vote. If your candidate's not on the ballot, don't stay away from the election. Go vote. And know that you are the one that is accessing that abundance of the universe. You are the one who has the power. You are constantly changing the world, transforming it. See, it's all about you. You've got the power. So I invite you to join us with these programs. Start with unexpected income. And make that commitment. It's not just about money. Remember that? Hear that it's about every area of your life. This is a quantum physics concept. You know, what you do in this area of your life is how you show up everywhere. You don't just give, 3% to a relationship, do you? And expect to get 100% back. All right. So you have an affirmation for you to repeat with me about your gold dust. Oh, okay, keep going. We already did that one. Okay. Nope, back to the gold dust. Thank you. Let's do this one together. There's gold dust in the air. I assimilate that gold dust through definite, deliberate, prosperous thinking. Even now, I am experiencing gold dust results. And so it is. Yes. So let's do this now in meditation on prosperity. And I love that the daily word today was prosperity. There are no accidents. So breathing deeply, closing your eyes and going within. Going for that inspiration from God to connect with your abundance, your amazingness. The daily word affirmation was, God is my source, I am prosperous. Say that to yourself. God is my source, I am prosperous. What is abundance? What does prosperity look like to you? Let's take a few moments and focus on God uniquely expressing through you as abundance. Ask yourself, if I didn't believe it was impossible, if I didn't believe it was impractical or unrealistic, what would I love? What is your gold dust? There's gold dust in the air. I assimilate that gold dust through definite, deliberate, prosperous thinking. Even now I am experiencing gold dust results. This moment is the beginning of the rest of your life. Lay your foundation in this truth. You are prosperous in all things. There is an unlimited store. It is called God. The Lord will open for you his rich storehouse, the heavens, to give the rain of your land in its season and to bless all your undertakings. Know that it is already yours. You have claimed it, named it, claimed it, and now proclaim it with your actions. Let's center on that richness of love and light that you are. Drawing that forth from your inner being, radiating it throughout your body, your thoughts, your spirit. And because you are powerful beings radiating it out, you bless this community. Bless our children and their teachers. And sending that powerful light and love throughout the Las Vegas Valley, raising the vibration. And throughout our world, where there is darkness and fear, hatred, feelings of helplessness and hopelessness, shine your light, radiate your love. And know that in this moment you have changed the life of at least one person in this world. And they know that there is a better way. They have experienced an abundance through you and a new connection with their I am. And thus we transform the world, one thought, one word, one action at a time. And as you return to this time and this place, let us affirm that and ground it in the words that Jesus taught us when his apostles said, "How then shall we pray?"